I'm really happy to be talking about this, and the reason for that is because this is a player that I really loved back when he was a draft-eligible prospect. I thought this guy had a boatload of potential. I really loved the skill set. I loved the playmaking, the passing, just the awareness in the offensive zone that he had displayed as a draft-eligible. And as his career has gone on, he has not really broken out just yet. Until now. Let's head over to a pretty alarming... Do I want to say alarming? Maybe? I don't know. You can let me know in the comments if this is alarming to you, but... Today we're talking about a situation of a Philadelphia Flyers player who has not signed a contract, and, based off of the updates we have been receiving, may not actually sign a contract until later in the year. Let's head over to the 2017 NHL Draft and talk about Philadelphia first-rounder Morgan Frost. Now, if you look back on the channel's history, you'll actually find a few videos going out there talking about Frost and the profile he possessed as a Flyers prospect. Long story short, though, he's 24 years old, 5'11", 170, left-handed center, who was drafted by the team in the 27th overall spot. You could see straight away from his profile that he wasn't really the biggest guy out there. He was pretty small. And as a result, his projection in the 2017 draft saw him mostly be touted as a second-round talent. Future considerations had him at 55, McKean's 41, Bob McKenzie had him at 38. NHL Central Scouting had Frost ranked as the 31st North American skater, which is really low compared to all the other rankings here. But alas, Morgan Frost went in the first round after a season in 2016-17 where he was under a point per game for the Sioux Greyhounds. Now, you could say the number might not actually be all too great. Hey, why did they draft him so high? His production wasn't amazing, but the reason the Flyers took this chance was because Morgan Frost at the time was a playmaking pivot who read the game intelligently. He was calm and poised, agile on his skates, and possessed excellent edge work. He also had a good hockey sense and read the play quickly in all three zones and reacted accordingly. Morgan Frost was a very smart, playmaking center who had a boatload of offensive tools, and you really started to see that show themselves off in the years following with the Sioux Greyhounds. Back-to-back 100-point years, with the most recent one being in only 58 games played, 37 goals, 72 assists. Morgan Frost was one of the top players in the OHL period, and he even showed off well at the World Juniors too, where he produced over a point per game there. Give it a few years, and Frost bounces around with the Philadelphia Flyers and the Lehigh Valley Phantoms. He's in and out, he's up and down. Eventually, he plays 55 games with Philly in 21-22, only has 16 points though. But this season, in 81 games, so he played the full season with Philly, he really boosted his totals up there. 19 goals, 27 assists for 46 total points. A very great breakout season for the young star. Now, the thing with Frost is that his contract expired after this 46-point campaign. With the Flyers being in a rebuilding position, you're probably going to see younger players be given better opportunities, maybe play higher in the lineup via John Tortorella, and for Morgan Frost, because of what he showed off in 22-23, there's no reason why this 24-year-old center shouldn't be given any extra opportunity to grow and become better. He needs a contract right now, but based off of the updates that we had received, it may not actually come pretty soon. This is what Dylan Robillard went out there and said on Twitter. He writes for BrotherlyPuck.com, and he said this: "The Flyers and Morgan Frost are not close on a new contract and are far from coming to an agreement. It sounds like it may take some time, possibly until late August." And late August is a whiles away. Some of the replies to this tweet go over differing perspectives the Flyers fanbase seems to face themselves with. Hey, is it worth it to give a lot of money to a guy who wants that much? He had been injured for a good chunk of the past few years, which is why he was never able to get those opportunities. He has one good year, and all of a sudden he's asking for all this money. What is the best move to do here? This article on FlyersInsider.com goes out there and highlights how Frost recently concluded a 3-year contract worth $2.775 million with a cap hit of $800,000. Given his performance this year and the anticipated increase in playing time, it's reasonable to expect that Frost will receive a substantial pay raise, possibly between $2 to $2.5 million per season. A 3-year deal at this rate would likely be satisfactory for both parties involved. Now, the thing is, for a guy making $800,000 to get 40 points, that's a pretty good season. Like, a very good season, actually. And so, there really is more reason to believe than not that Morgan Frost's AAV is going to go from $800,000 to something in the $2-something million range. It wouldn't be all too surprising. The idea is, though, if you think that he's going to get more than 40 points next year, let's say he goes out there and maybe gets a 50-60 point year because he's got more playing time, he's got more opportunity, he's playing with other line mates that are also growing and developing as well, what's the dollar amount with that? If you try to bridge it, let's say Morgan Frost signs a 3-year deal that takes him till he's 27 years old. Let's say best case scenario in 2025, 2026, you've got Cutter Gauthier on one wing and Matvei Michkov on the other. You have Morgan Frost in the middle feeding them pucks left, right, and center, and Frost gets a 70-point year with, let's say, 55 assists. At that point, you're going to have to re-sign him to another extension that's huge, because if you're really finding that his gears work the most with the play style of Cutter Gauthier and Matvei Michkov, you gotta do what you gotta do to make sure your top guys stay as your top guys, don't you? So this really is just a mind game of whether or not you want it to go short-term, long-term, bridge deal, whatever, and for Frost himself already, there's enough ammo there to say that he deserves a lot more money. I've always been such a big fan of Frost because of what he did in the OHL. His overall production was just crazy. The amount of plays he was able to make, every pass he made was a dangerous one. And now seeing that he's sort of taken that into the next level, battling through the injuries and finally finding an NHL role, that's awesome, and it seems like he's got a goal-scoring touch too. 19 goals in 81 games definitely isn't bad. And so if everything works well for Frost, I honestly am struggling to find what a real ceiling could actually look like here. Do we want to say he's got a 70-point ceiling? Is that a little bit too much? Am I being a little too pessimistic there? You could look at the entire body of work that he's had and say, all right, well, he's not too great, but you could look at the isolated individual season from last year and say, yeah, he is on the right track, for sure. So whatever dollar amount it is that Frost ends up getting, I feel like the Flyers got to do whatever they can to keep this guy. This is not a player you want to trade away. If he becomes as good as we think he can be, your team is better with him than without. So if the contract demands are all too ludicrous that you feel like you have to trade him away, okay, I guess. But at the end of the day, the Flyers are a rebuilding team. This team doesn't really have much to lose when it comes to shelling out money to players that are young and hopefully going to get better. So if you're a Flyers fan, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the entire Morgan Frost situation? This unfortunate update regarding his contract situation, the status of money. He's got to get a raise, that's for sure, but just by how much and how long? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the contract itself. Let me know your thoughts about how well Frost played this season. How well do you think he's going to be the next few years playing alongside a Cutter Gauthier and Michkov? If that line manifests as the real deal in the coming years, I feel like the sky is the limit for all three of them combined. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about this idea and Frost contract situation as a whole? I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.